This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boatyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Try the John Bain sandwich on your next visit. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area, and we offer a senior citizen and veteran discount. Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. I'm outside the Henry County Courthouse in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. The Board of Supervisors held their weekly meeting, and if you saw part one of my coverage, then you know this is part two. And here's what you're going to see on this episode of Podcast Excellence. Approval of agenda, approval of minutes, County Engineer Jake Hotchkiss weekly updates, resolution speed limit on Quincy Avenue south of New London, Henry County Sanitation bids, All-American Sanitation and WEMIGA Waste, Iowa Primary Care, Sarah Berndt and Unity Stevens, and a whole lot more.
All right, all right, to the pledge, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll open this meeting of the Board of Supervisors of Henry County on October 9th, 2025. A motion to approve the agenda, which I know I have some things that I want to add under things for us to discuss later at the end of the meeting.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve with your additions.
Need a second?
I'll second that with comment. Is item number 11 and 12 the same?
I'm assuming so.
I believe so.
Okay.
Okay. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. The minutes will be presented later. We'll move on to, and we'll work on our claims afterwards. The county engineer update. Jake, George.
Okay. So the first item on here is a resolution. I'll go ahead and read it first. Resolution 30-2025-20. Whereas the county engineer has completed a speed study on Quincy Avenue, starting at the New London city limits and continuing south. The following speed limits are recommended. 25 miles per hour commencing 200 feet south of the intersection of Easy Street and South Elm Street, Quincy Avenue, and then south 530 feet. 45 miles per hour commencing 730 feet south of the intersection of Easy Street and South Elm Street, also in parentheses Quincy Avenue, then south 625 feet. Now therefore be it resolved by the Henry County Board of Supervisors in session this 9th day of October 2025 that the above speed limits are to be installed as recommended and effective immediately.
Okay, we have that. Is there, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Second, discussion?
Yeah, so as time goes on, little things kind of pop up, and currently on Quincy Avenue, it's a gravel road that comes into New London off of 34, and at the city limits, the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. It's a gravel road. South of that, we have several houses in that section. There is a hill there, and there isn't any. A lot of times we like to have a reduction in speed as you come into a 20 essentially what it looks like when we were out there. There's a little bit of a hill, we extended the 25 to the top of the hill or just past it, and then we have a 45 zone there to get people down to where they need to be at. So just to be clear on when you leave the city of New London or you enter the city of New London.
Okay.
All right.
There may be more of those out there, and as we get those, we try to address them as we go, so.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No.
So since it's a resolution, it needs to be roll call.
This is a resolution.
Okay, roll
That's what I'm
call.
saying.
Roll call.
Dietrich,
Yes.
Mundine,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Okay. Then another item I have here is a permit, it's a utility permit with Windstream, and this is a short little section. Again, it's on north and south of, it's on Iowa Avenue, north and south of 249th Street. So Andrew's taking a look at that one, and he is good for us to move forward with it. I'll put a copy of that on your desk.
Thank you.
So, just kind of a maintenance update, I guess I can go here and continue on. Again, our operators, we had some minor blading, we're doing very little with our blades right now, we're doing some hauling of rock. We're still continuing our shoulder maintenance. We've completed 220th Street, we're working on Franklin Avenue, W55 south of Salem. We also worked on J20 west of Salem and then south of Hillsborough on that, I think it's a 2-mile pavement or 3-mile pavement. So they're still working on pulling those shoulders up, bringing that rock up to the edge. I think it's been working pretty well. So we're utilizing this dry period to work on those, whereas we can't really be doing a lot of blading right now. Bridge maintenance, so we've been working on a project on 162nd Street. It's a smaller bridge that had some wood piling underneath there that we encase those with concrete. So we take a half shell of a culvert pipe and we bolt that up against the bridge plank behind there, and then we fill concrete around them. So we have to dig down, get so far down below the stream bed to sit those in. So the guys got worked on it last week into this week. Yesterday we poured that with a concrete pump. We had that brought in. I think we were less than an hour doing a pour, maybe about an hour and a half of setting up and getting stuff cleaned up. The guys got that done. We got revetment put around there, so we've extended the life of that bridge. So we sent that off to our consultant, and then we'll be looking at changing that report on that bridge itself. So that project went really well. The guys did a great job of getting that done. It's not always great conditions, working in a little bit of a muddier conditions and stuff like that, but they did a nice job working out there. Ditching and entrance maintenance work, we did some work on 270th Street and on the Henry Jefferson County line. We still have more to do out there, but they're working on some entrance pipes and then doing some ditching as well in that area to improve drainage. Signs, again, it's miscellaneous. It's just kind of working on his list of items that need to be done. Down signs typically is what he's working on. Mowing, we're pretty much working with a batwing mower right now. We're working on trying to work in the ditch bottoms themselves. So as time allows, they're actually doing full width mowing. And right now he's been working on J20 early this week to do it. So between Salem and Highway 218, you can see some of the work we've done. Again, just trying to get the small trees out of the way before they get to become big trees. So we're not able to always get in those ditch bottoms, but with the drier weather, we're trying to take advantage of that to get that done with the batwing. We have had the boom mower out as well. Again, that's working up in the northwest part of the county, Jefferson Township, just as a general thing. And then we did rent a skid loader with a flail mower on it. Last Friday, it broke down, so we were waiting for repairs. So again, that's a rental thing, so that's more of a maintenance item on their end. So we're not paying for that time. We're just waiting for them to get that part fixed or swap us out with a mower.
And you're just doing ditches and right
Yeah,
of ways
there,
with those?
we're just targeting some of the smaller brush, maybe a few trees that are probably like that,
Yeah.
6,
Yeah.
something like that, to try to clear. We have anticipations of going up Franklin Avenue around the curves down there north of town there to deal with that. Some of that brush is growing, and then we're gonna work on 170th as well. So as we have time with what we're renting, we're just gonna try to work in those right of ways while the ground's dry. And that's what we're trying to do. Miscellaneous and construction updates. Again, we're waiting on 235th Street Bridge. Still haven't heard from the contractor, so we're still just on hold here. Again, they're supposed to give us 2 weeks notice when we set up a pre-con. Right now we're, approaching the middle of October. They haven't heard anything, so I think now we're looking at sometime in November now at this point. So, and that's it, unless you guys have questions for me.
I'm good. Thank you.
And that one, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching the podcast. We're taking just a quick break here because I need to share with you how you can get one of these cool t-shirts or one of these cool hats or this huge, let me just make sure I'm holding this right, Southeast Iowa Today with John Bain blanket. Oh, man, it is soft too. Anyway, all you gotta do is go to a website called Bain Designs, and that's what it looks like. You can see it there. Once you're there, just search Southeast Iowa Today with John Bain, and boom, up comes that. And you can get stuff like this, a tumbler that says Southeast Iowa Today with John Bain, and on the back, stay friendly, Southeast Iowa. And don't forget the ever cool Southeast Iowa Today with John Bain coffee mugs that also say stay friendly, Southeast Iowa. It's all there. And why am I telling you this? It's because I appreciate you, and I know that you tell people about this podcast, but this is a way for you to become a walking billboard, get some conversation started, help me promote your favorite podcast. And once again, I thank you. And this was a long enough break. We got to get back to the podcast. And, stay friendly, Southeast Iowa. And thank you so much.
Moving on. We now have Henry County Sanitation bids that we received 2 weeks ago. The attorney has reviewed it. Everything is fine. I'm open it to discussion and a motion.
Chad, you had some questions, so I'll leave it to you first.
There was, I apologize, I was absent that week,
Understandable. Family first.
yeah, had some issues to get taken care of at home, so. 3 questions, are both companies set up to handle, a compactor that might go down or need a repair? Is there a backup unit to do that, to compress that, so we're not having to haul loose bulk trash versus compacted trash? I mean, that is in place.
Yes, yes, I do
Yes,
have backup.
yes, it is.
Chad, to that question, I don't know if I know the answer to this one. Who actually owns the compactor that's out there right now?
The county does.
The county does. Okay.
Both the compactors.
Yeah.
Then, second question, are both companies willing to do kind of the small above and beyond in completing like the minor issues that might come up? The painting of equipment, utility building repairs. I know just picking up fugitive junk and blow around, everything like that's part of the contract, so. Is that?
Yes.
And then the third question was, I know it had come up, several years ago. Do both companies have trucks and equipment that can handle the cold winter? The freeze up, the cold weather transportation type thing without freezing up, not operable, tank heater involved, whatever case be, to get that working. So,
Absolutely, yep.
Absolutely.
that was the questions I had, so.
I have no questions.
No, I think that my questions are all pretty well answered by what you just asked, as well as some conversations we've had in previous discussions, so I'm covered in that perspective.
I'll entertain a motion then for a acceptance of one of the two contracts.
Well, in looking at the dollars, and strictly from a dollar perspective, I would have to work with All American Sanitation because it's a savings of over $55,000 for the 3 years, with all things being equal.
And that's what I wanted to answer these questions, everything being equal and everything. We have obviously heard from the public that property taxes and all the taxation from everybody needs to be reduced and everything. The contract difference is $55,800 according to my pencil anyway.
Correct.
That equates out to an $18,600 yearly difference or a $1,550 monthly difference. That's a hard decision, but with everything equal, money being the sole thing, it would go to All-American. That's not to say that WEMIGA hasn't done a standout job
I would agree, I think they've done a very
for
good
the
job.
last 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. So,
Mike, I know we shouldn't have discussion before, but I think I'll take the opportunity, we can change those rules just a little bit here. I'll agree that Lynn and WEMIGA has done an outstanding job for us. I mean, completely so. I mean, I have never had a concern whatsoever. My question is to you two board members, if you consider the savings. If we go back to the vote that the people had on local option sales tax, the number one priority was waste removal for them and taking care of that. Second was economic development. With that savings, are we willing to enhance the amount that we give to economic development, which we need to do to this county, and especially with the ongoing new drive that they're having for additional funding?
Well, I think we definitely need to look at that. We've had some conversation with those folks, obviously, on their long-term plan, on what we should commit from a county perspective, right? So I think that we have an obligation at that point to help from a developmental standpoint for the county. So I am supportive of that long-term plan. We can get into more details if you like.
No, we don't have to, but that's something to consider, is what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Definitely consideration, and the plan, I think, is still moving forward, but I think there's some good information there and good opportunities for the county. But again, it gets back to the dollars and cents here.
Okay, anything else? I'll entertain a motion. We've had not an actual motion yet.
We have not. My motion would be to accept All American Sanitation from the RFP.
Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you all. I appreciate everybody and their concern for what we've had here.
I would like to thank the county residents in this room, as well as those online watching in. Thank you out there for the years of service we have provided to Henry County. We will continue that service to the end of this contract. You guys know my heart, you know where we're at. We are dedicated. Appreciate the honesty and what you shared this morning about our company. Again, we thank you, my team thanks you, and we will continue on with the service we're providing rural Henry County as well as other counties throughout southeast Iowa. And again, just thank you, and we'll keep moving forward.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you all. Next on our agenda, the one I've been waiting for, I'll tell you that. Sarah, good to see you back.
Good
You're up.
morning, good morning. So Unity and I are here to talk about Iowa Primary Care and our behavioral health services that we're working on now.
So let's back up just a moment for everybody to understand. This is the advent or the bringing on of what was our mental health budget once with the county, and now the state is ruling their work and the different districts, and you are in charge of one of the
Correct.
districts for
Correct.
the mental health,
For
our
the
residents
Behavioral
and
Health
everything.
Administrative Service Organization that is operated by Iowa Primary Care Association.
Floor is
Alright.
yours.
All right. So, Unity and I do work for Iowa Primary Care Association, so our job is to support the behavioral health services that Iowa Primary Care Association provides statewide through a district system. We took over what was the regional system on July 1st, and so I am the district leader for District 6. This is the district that Henry County's in. And Unity is our senior lead system navigator, so she's the supervisor of the navigation services that Iowa Primary Care provides, and she'll talk to you about that in just a couple more minutes. She has two system navigators. System navigation is a phone call service where you call in and you can ask to get support and help to find services and things that you might need. And Jim Stephenson is a system navigator, and Michelle Dunn is a system navigator. And if you don't know, both of these people came from ads. So they represent the addiction services side of the services that we now work on. And then our supervisors, senior leadership, Abby Ferenzi, she is the Senior Director of Behavioral Health Services. Abby came from GuideLink Center in Iowa City, the crisis services program funded through Johnson County. You can help me with this. CFR and
Community, crisis services, and then also Abbey Health.
so they provided 24-hour observation, detox services, crisis residential stabilization. And then Emma Hall is the Director of System Navigation. So Emma is Unity Supervisor. And then Liza Maxwell also came from the Region System. She is the Director of District Operations and Strategy. She is my supervisor. So what we want to talk to you about today is just introducing Iowa Primary Care's role, understanding the need for system navigation, examples of how system navigation is working, how you access system navigation, and district advisory councils, and then any questions that you might have. So on July 1st of this year, Iowa launched the new Unified Behavioral Health System. And this unification combines behavioral health and substance use disorder services. So it's all under one umbrella now, and there's no more siloing with that, because one comes with the other comes with one, so it makes perfect sense that we're focusing on that. And then the other thing is that our ultimate goal through Iowa HHS and their realignment is to make accessing services easier for those citizens who need to access services and find the support that they need in a much smoother and easier way. And then a key component of this new system is our role in that. We're here to create a more person-centered integrated service, and we want a person-centered behavioral health system for the role that we play in the services that we fund. So Iowa Primary Care Association is a nonprofit organization, and they have been supporting 14 community health centers across the state. And they have been doing that since about 1988. So they've been in that business for quite a while. And CHCs, when I think of a CHC, I think of a CHC as providing safety net medical services for folks who maybe are in poverty, don't have access to insurance, that kind of thing. So they are the safety net provider for medical. And the Behavioral Health Service Area Administrative Service Organization, they are the safety net service for behavioral health services. So to me, it made perfect sense when Iowa Primary Care bid for the RFP to be the behavioral health ASO. They're already supporting safety net services in the medical field. Now they can carry that over and support safety net services in the behavioral health field. I want to tell you what their behavioral or their organizational values are. They are accountable, deliberate, respectful, collaborative, proactive, and transformative. So we're all working to transform the behavioral health system over the next couple of years. There is a map of the 7 districts. Our district goes all the way up from Benton County, and it kind of cascades down and gets a little bit wider at the bottom, and then it ends in Lee County. Again, this is for consistent delivery of services, and while we're doing that delivery of services, we're also looking at the needs of our individual districts. So we're not looking at the needs and applying that statewide. Each district is looking at their own needs, and we'll be looking at that over the next couple of months with a district assessment finalized about March of next year. We also, one of the things that, you know, you're gonna remember, Mark, is the inconsistent information sharing when we were a region system. One of the things that Iowa Primary Care is all about and is an expert at, all of us are delivering the same message no matter where we're talking to people or partners or anybody who might be interested in Iowa Primary Care. We have a set list of talking points and we're all working on the same message. System alignment, again, was to ensure access to prevention, early intervention, treatment, recovery, and crisis services for mental health and addictive disorders. The next phase of that is, you know, why Unity and I are here today and why Unity and I have been going to different places over the last month or so. We want to connect and collaborate. We want to talk with local leaders. We want to talk to schools. We want to talk to law enforcement, public health agencies, behavioral health providers, and coalitions. We've been hitting a lot of coalitions here. And then our work is to provide information, referrals, and support to help Iowans navigate the behavioral health system. Right now, we have about 125 contracts in place with the behavioral health system providers. What Iowa Primary Care did was the contracts that were in place with the regions, they just replicated those and carried those contracts forward just as the regions would have carried them forward. So the goal was to keep it a stable state, pay for what was being paid for in the regional system, and continue that for the next year. And kind of keep an eye on how the spending was going with a different system and a different set of eyes on it. You see things a little bit differently coming in, you know, kind of not having that history. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's the list of districts.
Sorry, took me a minute.
That's okay. So, you know, that's what we're looking for. So, questions, talking to anybody, we're here for that. And then what we're really focusing on for contracts is there's some unique programs that the Iowa Primary Care carried over. One of those is co-responder system, and what that is when you're talking about crisis services, there are about 5 different models. Our model is 2 mobile crisis responders go to a call. There is also a way to do that, which is called co-responder, where a law enforcement officer and a mental health professional will respond to a crisis call.
Excuse me, what does that mean when you say a crisis call? Just technically, what, generally
Do you
speaking.
wanna take that?
Yeah.
Have you been in that world?
I have, yeah. So a crisis really, it depends on partly how a person defines it, right? Like, some people it could be, you know, I lost my keys this morning and it's not really about the keys, but I've just completely blown my tab because all the other things have piled up to this point. For other people, it could be like we're in a state of psychosis, which essentially is you're not oriented to a shared reality. Sometimes that's substance use, sometimes that's like untreated or undertreated mental health concerns like schizophrenia. So essentially any service where a crisis counselor could be more beneficial than, you know, the scope of law enforcement, which is essentially like enforcing the law and handling things from that perspective. So there's a range of things that could fall under the crisis umbrella. Does that help answer your question?
It does, yeah. So when does it get to the point then where law enforcement is engaged as well as the crisis counselor?
It depends on your area, right? So this in practice in Johnson County might look different than other areas, one, if a co-responder is even available. Some of it is like, you know, the public calling into dispatch and they see somebody who looks off or they're like being weird, essentially, they're likely going to send a law enforcement officer out because they've called into dispatch. And oftentimes it's up to that law enforcement officer to either engage their liaison, or some models have, co-responders, we call them liaisons, mental health liaisons. They have them right along with them. So it depends on the area that you're in, and it's really up to the discretion of the officer in most cases.
You say officer, you mean one of your team, or a police officer? Okay.
Law enforcement, yeah. Yeah, so those individuals are embedded with their law enforcement departments.
Okay, thank you.
So you go to Bad Billy's house on a crisis call. Law enforcement's with you, your liaison is with you. It's a law enforcement call at that point in time to ensure safety, security, all that type of thing. If all those things are accounted for, then the transition into the mental health treatment part of it plays effect. It can't overrule. I mean, the liaison isn't gonna make a judgment call contrary to what a law enforcement officer is.
It's a good question. So for context, I have built a liaison program and I managed one a couple of years ago as well, between 7 departments. Our general practice was, like, it's not professional or respectful to override anybody's call either way on scene. You handle that after. And we had a really great relationship with our law enforcement partners where we trusted them. So, like, I don't see what they see on scene, but I'm gonna follow their lead. And if I have a problem with what happened, we're gonna talk about it after the fact, because the safety piece, like, I don't know what you're looking at. I've been on calls where they like start removing sharp objects from around us, and I'm like, I don't know why you're doing that, but I'm not gonna question it, right? And you're like motioning for me to get out of the house, and lo and behold, like 90 seconds later, an incident happened, and like we have to trust each other in that moment. And so no, I would say we generally don't override people's judgment, law enforcement officers' judgment in the moment, but that doesn't mean that they're not wrong sometimes, or that we're not wrong sometimes. It's just professional respect and trust. Any questions on that piece?
Is the crisis line still the way to get a hold of everybody?
988 or your Life Iowa. Yep. That'll get you dispatch, that'll get you into system navigation, which usually will take over here in just another minute or two.
So my sticker is still valid.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do not get rid of that. All right. The other thing that Iowa Primary Care is doing more work in, or doing more funding, is services in the jail. It was consistent. Some regions would fund medications and prescribers in the jail, and other regions would not. Iowa Primary Care is responsible to pay for that, so they do have a contract with a couple of different providers to provide jail-based services. And so what that gets is it pays for the prescriber time and the medications for those folks with behavioral health needs who are currently incarcerated in the jail system. One of our contracted providers does do some system navigation. The other one hasn't quite been in system navigation. Their folks have been in hospital systems, emergency departments, doing evaluations for level of care. So there is a component of the navigation that the region funded through Henry County employees prior to the region sunsetting. And then we're also doing some school-based services, so contracted with a provider to provide mental health services for kids in the schools. And then other specific contract areas, we have the Integrated Partner Network, or the Substance Abuse Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery Services, called SUPTERS. That's a SAMHSA grant that funds the substance use disorder services for different throughout the state. And then there's the Tobacco Community Partnership that then has funding to focus on tobacco use reduction, or not even starting the smoking. And then we support mental health centers with a mental health block grant that comes in from the federal government, and then it gets dispatched out to the mental health centers statewide. We continue to fully support crisis services throughout the state, and we do, there's a project for assistance and transition from homelessness. It's called PATH, so it's helping to get folks who are chronically homeless housed and permanently housed. So there is some additional support for that through that service. And then we are continuing to support the peer-operated services. So for you, what you might understand that to be, Mark, is the drop-in center here in town. So, and then there's also peer support services in different venues in mental health and also in addictive disorders. And then finally, the systems of care, and that's also another mental health block grant. So that's kind of what we're forward-facing work is right now. And now we're gonna go to system navigation.
I'm gonna pick this up because my eyes are not as great as Sarah's. Thank you so much. So my name's Unity Stevens. I actually live in Mount Pleasant. I've lived here for about 6 years. So the first thing we try to lead with is that our system navigators are in our communities. Our other two folks are from Lee County, and we're hoping to get more to the west and more to the north as we hire more people. So essentially, system navigation was born out of like this reality that a lot of people, individuals, families who are seeking services face like what feels like a very complex system, whether it's the papers that you're filling out or knowing who to call, especially when you're in a state of distress because things aren't going the way that you need them to go. And that's sort of where we come in to help them along the way. So in developing system navigation, we've worked with a lot of different partners across the state. Your Life Iowa is one of them. So to get to us, you actually use the same number that a lot of people use to call for mobile crisis, just to make that entry point easier, and then they get transferred to us. We're also working diligently, both internally and externally, to develop comprehensive training and resource materials. Making sure, like Sarah said earlier, that we're consistently applying the service across the state. So while every district is not going to be the same, because our needs are different depending on where we're at, you should expect the same level of quality and excellence regardless of where you're at. And then also collaborating with diverse stakeholders, which include you all, our behavioral health providers, libraries, reaching out to faith-based organizations, really just trying to reach all of the places where people might seek support from. So system navigation specifically, what we can do, so we provide extensive information, education, and guidance for people who call in. This sometimes is providers, and this sometimes is individuals themselves calling on behalf of their needs or a loved one. We also support them with application assistance for services, which we have more capacity to do once we get our navigators in the communities. So the expectation will be that every navigator at least will be in an office 2 days a week to provide like help doing Medicaid applications or whatever else they might need, sort of like a walk-in based services. Also identify options to help them overcome whatever barriers to access they have. Sometimes it's insurance, sometimes there's a language barrier, like some people have, you know, a 6th grade education and we have to adjust our communication accordingly. Sometimes it's the barrier is the individual themselves, like anxiety or concern about stigma, and so supporting them through that as well. Supporting them during key transitions. Sometimes transitions can be happy things, right? Like you get a new promotion and it brings up like, oh my gosh, there's so much more expectation I'm gonna have. It doesn't always have to be, you know, life is falling apart.
Or a transition out of jail, or a transition out of an acute care hospitalization.
Yeah.
Change circumstances.
Yeah. Yes, that's a really great way to phrase that. So we also provide referrals and warm handoffs to appropriate providers and long-term services. So what this looks like, sometimes we're three-way calling providers with the person on the line, because like we'll understand together what they're going to do, and then, you know, people lose their words and they really need that guidance, like, can you call with me so that I remember what to say, how to say it, and how to get what I need? And we're happy to do that. What we don't do, we don't provide treatment for people. So while we have some licensed clinicians on our staff, we don't do any clinical services. We don't prescribe medication. We don't do counseling, and we don't do crisis intervention in the system navigation space. To get to system navigation, I mentioned earlier, but you can call the Your Life Iowa line. So I don't know if anybody needs that, but it's 855, Sarah has cards too, 581-8111. So anyone calling in should be offered system navigation, but people can also request it. So it's sort of moving into an opt-out. You're gonna get to us unless you say, no, I'm good, I don't need that. let's see here. There's a different line for providers and partners that sort of bypasses Your Life Iowa and gets our team directly, which we have flyers for that as well. Let's see. So some situations, these are not reflective of reality of what we've had so far because I'm trying to be careful about privacy. So these are general examples, but we could have somebody who newly diagnosed with depression and they don't really know, like, what do I do from here, right? Like, I know that I have this need. Who do I call? Where do I go? We can help them with that. Either find the right provider depending on what their preferences are, or also walk them through that process in however much guidance they want or need. Another example is, like, let's say a parent notices their teenagers starting to miss school, use substances, and they're overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. Often it's probably gonna fall to law enforcement. So we can help that parent not just identify services for their kiddo, but for themselves as well, because that's a stressful circumstance for parents to go through. And then, like Sarah said earlier, with support services transitions from hospitals, so we had something happen yesterday somewhere in the state where somebody had just been released from a mental health, behavioral health unit and was trying to walk hundreds of miles across the state, and we got the call. And so we collaborated directly with law enforcement, a local community provider in that county, across like 4 different districts, and reached a resolution within like 20 or 30 minutes where we would struggle previously. So those are some examples of how system navigation can look in practice. Our call types, probably not surprising, but the most frequent one we've seen is mental health. Second has been housing across the state. And then third is substance use. So we're currently working in the system navigation space to develop committees because our staff, they're incredibly knowledgeable. So we're trying to develop small pockets of groups so we can make a plan to address some more of these issues, both statewide and locally. And then I think that's all.
Yeah, just your stats if you wanted.
I mean, I can read them out, but numbers read might not feel great. So this is from July 1 to the end of September. Across the state, we've had about 1,300 navigation contacts, and about 930 of those have been clients directly, and about 350 have been third parties. So that could be providers, law enforcement, access centers, and then outgoing service referrals, almost 2,000 outgoing service referrals for these individuals who are calling in. So we're doing some really great work in our space.
Those numbers are all for Area 6.
This is
Statewide.
Statewide.
Yeah. So my hope is that by early 2026, we'll have worked through enough of our process to be able to get more accurate, objective district level data. We're building the system while we're doing it. So we have numbers. I want to make sure that our process is accurate before we start giving them at the district level. That's a great question.
We definitely want to provide data from district level
Yes.
and aggregate for state level, but when you have hundreds of data points to pull from, you've got to narrow it down to about 10 or 12 so that it's meaningful data.
Yeah. Any questions for me?
Okay, can you find the next map? It's District 6 Advisory Councils. It should be probably 6 or 7 slides from that one on that PDF I sent you.
Are you seeing a lot of different needs of Henry County versus Benton County or Johnson County or?
You went this one, right? District 6 Advisory.
That's what
I can see the needs of Johnson County being way different than
They are. They are.
No, I didn't
Yeah,
find
it's not funny.
Get over here.
That's one of the pieces that I'm hoping to be able to drill down more effectively. We have so many data points that we're trying to figure out what makes the most sense to share, and then our review process. I care a lot about accuracy, so one of our
There we go.
growth points is having the data and everything to work through this.
Okay, so, we wanna let you know where the District Advisory Council, folks are. So our District Advisory Council has 10 folks on it. There's one law enforcement representative. There are 3 representatives from either the provider or the knowledge base of behavioral health and SUD disorders. So, on our District Advisory Council, there's 3 folks from the provider array. And then we have 3 folks with lived behavioral health experience, and one of those being a parent of a child who is in the behavioral health system. And so this map shows where those individuals are from. So we have, Benton all the way down to Lee County. And our specific District Advisory Council members are Jack Seward, who is a Board of Supervisor from Washington. We've got Sheriff McNamee, who is on the District Advisory Council as an elected official, and Jack is also on the District Advisory Council as an elected official. We have Sheriff Snyder, who is our law enforcement representative on the council. We also have Christina Shark, who represents the provider community. We have Jacqueline Smith Duggan, who represents the provider community, and we have John Leby from Great River, who represents the provider community. We have Denise Skipple, Brianna Kramer, and Jennifer Olson, who represent the lived experience folks from our district. And then we have Sheriff Gary Anderson, who is an elected official. So, the behavioral health system is based on a statewide plan that HHS created about a year ago, which really identifies how the state's gonna deliver their behavioral health services. And so why they did that is that they want every Iowan, regardless of where they live, to have access to high-quality behavioral health services that are gonna meet their needs where they're at in real time. Together, we wanna make sure that we have a full behavioral health continuum of care that addresses prevention, early intervention, recovery, treatment, and crisis services. So again, like I said, Iowa Primary Care's role is that fabric of safety net service. So we have to make sure that that fabric is whole and it doesn't let anybody drop through. And then how we're gonna implement that, you've heard us talk a little bit about data. We're heavily driven by data as we are working through this process. So again, like I'd said, you can have hundreds of data points, but you really need to get those narrowed down to a few data points that are meaningful for your state and your local communities and everybody that interfaces with the work that we're doing. And then we need to have consistent policies and protocols. So with Iowa Primary Care being the organization that is taking care of this statewide, there's definitely consistency in what we're saying, what we're doing, how we're delivering it, and then the protocols that we operate under. So they have a book of protocols that we follow just to make sure that we're all getting it right. And it took them a little bit to decide that we were ready to go out and do these presentations because they wanted to make sure that our messages were the same, no matter who was saying it and where they were saying it. And then we have to look at solutions for our community needs. So Unity and her team are seeing gaps or places where there's barriers to get to those outcomes. So that's one of the things that Iowa Primary Care is assessing, and then that will be given to the Department of Human Services to then develop the plan to address remedying those gaps and putting those services in place that are missing from our system. And then again, data-informed assessment and data-informed adjustments to how the services are funded or delivered through the work that Iowa Primary Care is doing. So do you want to scroll down then? And our next District Advisory Council for District 6 is December 3rd. There we go. It's December 3rd from 11 to 1:15. That is an in-person District Advisory Council meeting. You can attend it at the Washington Public Library in person. Otherwise, our District Advisory Councils are always available via a Zoom link. And we want we want everybody to attend those District Advisory Council meetings because there is a priority of 15 minutes at the end of the content of those meetings for public comments. So we want the public to share their ideas, their concerns, places where they might see that there's a need or a gap, so that we can then make sure that we're covering all of that. you can reach out to Unity, you can reach out to myself, there is that information in the PowerPoint, and then, as always, we're gonna welcome your insight and feedback. So, insight and feedback that you folks have in your role as an elected official, you know, we want that shared with us. We want that to be something that Iowa Primary Care is aware of and can solve for. And at the end of the day, our system is gonna be the best system that it can be, as long as we focus on working together to make that system a better system. So, and then we have some Your Life Iowa cards that we can hand out so that you have that information, but that's kind of what we're doing in a nutshell.
So with the information here, is that something that's available that you can share with maybe Katie or somebody that we can put on calendar so that we can keep that out there for people to see if they need access to it? This is another visible point.
Yep. You wanna share it on the county site?
Yeah.
Okay. Robin, do you want me to send you the link to that?
Please. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna ask you a hard question, Sarah. You know my thoughts 6 months ago. Where are we now?
I've had that question asked a lot because people know I'm honest.
That's what I asked you.
I love that.
We are in a good spot.
Good.
Iowa Primary Care is designed to do this work. And Iowa Primary Care, I don't know how they do it. They hire, not because of me, they hire phenomenal people. They really do. I have mad respect for everybody that we work with, and they are dedicated, they are passionate, they are wanting to do the right thing to improve access for our citizens who experienced, I need help with this. Sorry, I don't do that. Here's a number, you can call this place. And then they call that place who says, I'm sorry, I don't do that. You can call this place. So you had a statistic, like 60% of the people weren't calling in. Was that your statistic? Okay, so there's a statistic out there, and I've listened to a lot of things, but like 60% of the people that needed help, that needed support, didn't call in because it was too complicated, it was too frustrating. And by the time that they get to us, sometimes they can be pretty pissed off because they haven't got help and they need it. And that's our job. Our job is to calm them, to stabilize them, and to ensure that they've gotten access to what they asked for, and that they follow up. Before they close that call out, before a system navigator can say, I'm done with this call, they follow back up with that person and say, did you make that connection? Did it meet your need? If it didn't, they start over. If it did, they can close that loop. And they also leave it open that if something else comes up, please call us again. We'll walk you through that. Fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can add to that, I know you don't know me, but I've spent most of my career leading from the front lines, and this is truly the first time in my career that I feel like we're building a system that we have said to the public we are going to build. At least the way that it feels boots on the ground. Part of that is because the insights and data that we're gathering from our system navigation standpoint is actively like being considered and changing processes in real time so that we're adjusting services and actually meeting needs that we're seeing instead of what we think we're going to see. And thankfully we have district leaders like Sarah who are partnering on a different arm of this work so that we're all working in tandem in our separate lanes. I'm really proud of Sarah and the work that we're all doing together, and I feel however things have gone the last couple of years, like I felt it too, we are really bringing into reality what we have hoped to see for a long time.
So the takeaway, what I'm gathering is the association is the goal of the association is a one-stop shop. You won't kick the can down to the next Tommy Tent Peg down the road to call her, call him. You'll make that contact. You'll try to be that connective tissue to get that person the services needed. Is that, in a few words, that's.
Some people want to make their own calls, so all they want is phone numbers. We're still gonna follow up with them, make sure that they made those calls. Some people just want us, and I shouldn't speak for you, but, so I did system navigation for a couple of weeks when it started, because my boss wanted all hands on deck, so I did system navigation, and so I am forever grateful for that, because I know what they do, I have a connection with them. Some people just want you to call and, talk to somebody, get that information, give them a tentative idea of who's gonna be calling them, give them the number they'll call. And other people want you to actually, yes, will you please dial that phone number with me while we're on the phone together, introduce me, and then you can jump off and I'll take it from there. So it's delivered in the way that caller
Once it does.
needs it delivered, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you very much. You've squelched a lot of my worries.
Good.
Leave some flyers here and cards in case anybody wants them on your way out today. And if you need any more, feel free to reach out to us, either myself or Sarah, and we will make that happen.
I still have Sarah's number, so I'm all right.
Thank you very much for giving us the time.
Next on our agenda is a liquor license renewal for the Rome's Hotspot Bar and Grill. We've all had a chance to review it and look at it, so we just have to make a note that we have all reviewed it and signed off on it. So, after that, motion to approve the suspended taxes. Kelly, you wanna go ahead or just on this
I
one?
was presented to
Yeah.
Robin.
Robin.
I mean, I can, what do you?
This is a motion to suspend taxes. This was I'll read what was been, and we then have a discussion. It was moved by Lundin and seconded by White to suspend taxes per Iowa Code 427-8 and 427-9, payable September 25 and March 26, the following real estate taxes. This is something that we've done in the past, and this was done a year ago, and for this individual. So this is going on for the same thing for the future. So this is the one that is from DHS.
It's every year.
From DHS, from DHS. We are suspending them, but we are not removing them
No.
from the taxes.
No.
So once, these people sell their property, then we receive the taxes back. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion, and so this is what we've done in the past, so I'll entertain a motion to, suspend the taxes for, parcel 420-082593000. It's here in Mount Pleasant.
And I'll get that changed for you when we go upstairs. I just wanna show that that was done in prior years.
Right. Motion to approve the suspension of taxes.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
There's no change in laws or anything that can force collection sooner than the sale of the property, right?
No, not on a suspension. If you abated it, it would have been completely removed it. But on a suspension, it just keeps adding and adding and adding.
Add.
No penalty.
But once the property's sold, then the county
Yeah.
does get its taxes. Okay, all right.
Very good. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No.
Robin, you'll give me a copy of that?
Yep.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, resolution 29-2025. Joe, do you wanna take?
Yeah, it looks like it's on, we're on there twice, but, yeah, this is a one lot subdivision. I actually sent you the map if you wanna put it up, it's not, it should be in your email. One lot subdivision, section 3, Tippecanoe Township, it's the north side of Old Highway 34, we're just dividing off a lot for a future house. I think you have one copy of the resolution, I got a second one here, one for the packet.
This is a new one, because the one we did have was a misprint.
I gave you the one of the correct.
I got the one, but the others of these guys had a two.
Yeah, it's just, it was listed as
Everything's
a
the
two
same,
lot.
except for it says it went from one lot, went from two lots to one lot.
Yeah, he just forgot to change the wording when he. did is cut and paste.
Okay.
So, yeah, the area in red is this subdivision lot.
Okay.
Rebecca Moore is the property owner. That's a 1 acre net lot. Meets all the requirements, the recorder is signed off on it. This was sent to P and Z for informational purposes,
Okay.
so I think everything is ready to go.
We have this resolution 29-2025, a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Henry County, Iowa, whereas the Moriarty subdivision, a one-lot subdivision in part of northeast 1/4 of northeast 1/4 of section 3, township 71, north range 7, west of the 5th PM of Henry County, Iowa, described as the following. I'm not gonna read that because I don't know all my minutes and degrees, so on that. So whereas the Board of Supervisors has examined the plat and the proofs filed therewith and being fully advised of the provisions in chapter 3, 5, and 4 Code of Iowa, the 2024 as amended, and find that said plat is filed meets all requirements of the statutes of the Henry County Board of Zoning and Ordinances, and that all things required by the board have been done and are performed by the parties of the subdivision, and now therefore be it resolved that by the Board of Supervisors of Henry County, Iowa, that the attached plat of the Maury subdivision be, and the same is therefore thereby expressly approved by the chairman, and the secretary are hereby directed to certify this resolution which has been affixed, this plat. So with that, I will entertain a motion for this resolution.
I'll make a motion for resolutions.
I'll second that. Is anybody interested in reading the fine details of the legal language of it or anything like that? There's, if you want it, it's there.
Hearing none, we will have a roll call vote.
Dietrich,
Yes.
Lindy,
Yes,
White.
Yes.
motion passes.
Just got 2 copies to sign there, one for Robin and one to go in the packet to be recorded.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Next thing on our agenda are a couple things I would like to bring up. First of all, I received a phone call yesterday from Lisco, and Sheriff and Amy, you were part of that discussion with, contact people to talk to, and with Lisco coming and doing some changes of the phone system. Were you familiar with that at all? I got this phone call because it normally would go through the IT.
Okay.
So I said that either you or I would be the contact person for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Okay with that?
Okay.
All right, so they said there's gonna be some updates that were gonna be required, with your phones here in the near future?
Yes.
Okay, so I said, I wanted you to be the contact person there.
Okay.
And likewise, the same thing will happen with the conservation department. And I told the lady that I would take anything else other than that for,
Okay.
so for your information.
Okay.
All right,
Good.
on that?
Yep.
Yeah. I know. I was actually in the combine, so I had to stop and listen to her for a while, so we had a good conversation. The other thing is, brought to my attention, we do need to do something about snow removal. And, make sure that we go back on what we had done by, the prior, snow removal, and make sure that we get everything listed and get a bid in the, paper, asking for, bids on that. So, I will take it upon myself to follow up on that to get it in the paper.
Mark, I'd be happy to work with you on that because we have the same issue that our former vendor is no longer available. So
Okay.
I'd be happy to work with you on that.
Okay. We'll do that. And what you're requiring and everything.
Yep.
And do we know, what, other than the sheriff's office, this, and what else was done? Public
Emergency
health,
management,
Pardon,
public health,
and public health,
DHS, courthouse,
and back behind here also.
yeah, over here.
Okay, we got a number of them. Okay,
Conservation does their own, I believe.
yes, they do.
Or
Get
big
up your look
studio.
if you want. All right.
I should never go to sleep.
Pardon?
You do.
Just never go to sleep. You're in the news business, something could happen.
So,
You don't wanna do them all, Jake?
No.
is that, subcommittee?
Jen, do you have any subcommittees?
I recently took in a Chamber of Commerce Economic Development type tour of Mitchell envelope, McKay Mitchell envelope, and went through there. They showed us the interior, how the operation, give us some history of the thing. Anybody wanna take a wild guess at how many envelopes they typically make a year?
A billion.
It's a gazillion. But, no, anywhere from about 10 to 12 million envelopes, was the number that they threw out there, and it, you know, that's a lot of envelopes.
It's a lot of trees.
But, they talked about the logistics, you know, Mount Pleasant being a main envelope making manufacturing facility right here in Henry County. Access, McKay Envelope has another facility outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota, that's significantly smaller in production wise, everything like that. But it was kind of an interesting thing. I mean, it had been around here forever, you know, essentially, but I didn't know much about it. It's just one of those industries that's kind of out there, and it just kind of chugs along and does its thing. A lot of long-term employees there.
Did they say how many employees they have?
Yeah, anywhere from, depending on seasonal demands and everything like that, 75 up to like 125, 130. They didn't have no exact numbers, but there was a range in there that it fluctuated around. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see, you know.
Yeah, I had a Rust meeting yesterday, so we reviewed the rural utility systems and talked a little bit through what's going on with those folks. Bruce is still off and not gonna be available for some time, so Deekwood is stepping in to help support the team. But other than that, Russ is in pretty good shape overall. And then just a little bit of a follow-up. I've been on the phone obviously quite a bit this week and been in the office every day, following up on where we're at with IT support. So just to give everybody a little overview of where we are. We're working with the IC team out of ISAC, out of Des Moines. Those folks have really jumped in and given us some good direction and support. We have worked with Mark Hahn a little bit, conversation-wise. Mark's not been able to work with us this week, and he's not been able to provide any support because he's tied up with his full-time job. Chad had a conversation with him, so I think they're gonna get together this evening. Mark is working with the ITIC team, Joel Rohn, and his team to be able to give us support within the next week. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have some good news and maybe have a person on site. So we'll continue to work through that. They're working with us to do an audit. The ITIC team out of ISAC will be here to do an audit on the 29th and 30th of October, so it's real short term, very quick. And they jumped in really quickly here to help us to understand what our short-term, long-term needs are and give us some direction. They're also gonna help us work with a posting to put a hiring out for an IT person. And so we're working on the job description of that this week, and hopefully in the very near future, we'll be able to get a posting out and get people up to date on where we are.
Did you see a date?
The audit is the 29th and 30th. And those folks will be here. They will meet with, there's probably 5 or 6 of those folks from the ITIC team. I'll be with them. They're gonna meet with every department head just to make sure you all know who they are and get a feel for your needs, short-term, long-term, and then do an evaluation. So they'll most likely use the IT office upstairs next to the auditor's office as their base to work from, and take an inventory of assets there as well, and then do an audit of our information technology system overall. Does that answer your question?
I just didn't think, you didn't have a date set, so I didn't, It's like you said it, I was like, wait, did he say a date?
29th and 30th, yeah.
I didn't catch it, so.
Yeah, so they'll be here for 2 full days. They'll do an evaluation the first day, second day they'll get together and put all their information together and come up with a report, and then the following week they'll get with us and give us a final report and an overview of where they're at. So they'll most likely, I'll be in touch with you as well, Rich. I'm sure they'll wanna come out and take a look and see what kind of assets we have sitting out there and what we need to do to get some short-term fixes in some of the situations that you're in as well. So they'll be off-site at our various locations, looking at emergency management and the other locations as well.
You can put that out on department head email.
As soon as I get confirmation, you bet, absolutely. Probably the same thing with you, Jake. I'm sure they'll stop by. So, yeah, once I get confirmation, and that should be here shortly. I talked to Joel this morning about 8 o'clock, so I will probably have an email from him as we speak, but I'll get on that. We'll follow up. But again, all of the emails that everybody sent with their short-term, long-term needs, I've compiled those into an Excel spreadsheet and shared that with the ITIC team, as well as your individual notes, your emails. They've been all forwarded to those folks so they can assess those and see what they think priorities are. Anything else?
I was very impressed with Sarah and Unity's presentation today. I hope you were too. Let's hope and look for good things to come from Iowa Primary Care. And thanks for everybody that's on the podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming, LLC, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.